The New York Mets defeat the Detroit Tigers 10-8 in what was another catastrophic appearance for our boy Sean Manaea. But luckily, Juan Soto was here to save the day today. Dan Bartels and myself are going to get into that. What the September outlook looks like. What's going to happen with this pitching rotation? What are the latest rumors onto where the New York Mets will end heading into October? We're going to get to that and a whole lot more next on Met. What's going on, Met fans? Welcome back to another episode of Metcast. If you're enjoying the content, all I ask you is to consider subscribing or becoming a member if you want to be locked in to have your voice heard. I'll be sure after this live is done to connect our membership link in the comment section. It'll be the pin link. So there, if you want to become a member for just $2 a month, you get to be guaranteed to have your voice heard. And with that said, Dan, 10-8, the final in Detroit today. And listen, it was an up and down game. We hear about Manaea all season long. He's had 10 starts, and 6 of his 10 starts, he has failed to get past 5 innings as his ERA balloons to over 5.5. We've had the same issue we've talked about with Kodai Senga. It's these veteran starters on this staff that continue to fail us time and time again. And it's not just a short sample size now. We're well over a month in. Manaea, Senga, Frankie Montas is gone. And even if you look at a guy like Clay Holmes, who in May and June had an ERA in the 2s both month, and since then 4.5 and roughly 5 respectively. And so many Met fans are sitting here wondering, is Jonah Tung the answer? Is McLean the answer? Is Brandon Sproat throwing 7 scoreless in AAA the answer? And I can't believe I'm standing here on September 1st not knowing if who my starter would be game 1, game 2, or game 3 in a potential wild card scenario. And we're directly heading to that as the Phillies come back, another win. The Reds have the walk-off win against Toronto today, fighting back and forth. They were down in the 9th by 2, scored 3 to win to keep that where it's at. So it looks like if the Mets stand course right now, we are in a dead heat to potentially face the Phillies in the first round. And when I say that I'm nervous, I'm not nervous because of our offense. I think our offense has proven throughout the month of August, which was a historic month for us, and I know you'll get to that in a little bit, they could hit with the best. We saw what Juan Soto could do today with a guy like Charlie Morton, who is typically chewed up and spit out our staff, wrecking him in a game. But I'm not confident about any of our pitchers. Are you confident that Nolan McLean's going to step in game 2 and just shut the Phillies down? Or even right now, David Peterson has had a couple of rough outings. Is he going to be the guy to do it? I mean, when you look at this, these guys have maybe 3 starts combined most to end the season. And right now, I'm searching for answers. I need these answers before we head into the playoffs. It cannot be September 20th, we'll call it 20 days from now, and we still don't have answers. But with that being said, we did beat a very good Detroit team today. It was that seesaw, and it was the clutch guy and our Metcast player of the game, Juan Soto. Let's take a look at his stats.
Let's go Mets, feel the heartbeat of the crowd. Make that apple rise and let's get loud. Let's go Mets, no we don't back down. We're the kings and queens and we run this town.
2 of 3 today, 2 walks, 6 RBIs, the grand salami. This is the game we have been waiting for, Dan. From our guy, Juan Soto, we can't say it enough. He's supposed to be the game wrecker, and he has not been so far this year. But let's be real. Over the last 30 days, he's been lighting the world on fire. Dan, I'll get to you.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable day for Soto. Unbelievable day for the Mets. That game took years off our life, if we're being honest. That was a tough one. But they fought through it. They persevered, and they've shown you cracks of signs that show you kind of that 2024 resilience. I mean, Soto, a career high 6 RBIs. Think about that. We talk about a Hall of Famer, top 3 player in the game. Everybody's different. You could put him top 5. He's one of one, right, in terms of what he means to the Mets. And having a career day, yeah, you can't undersell this. This is a really good game for Juan Soto. Added on with a triple, too, in the 6th inning, a 2-run triple. That was the 16th triple of his career. So that doesn't happen very often either, once in a blue moon type stuff. And his first more than a 2-run home run. That's the best way to put it in summary. Like, he hasn't hit a 3-run home run, and he certainly hasn't hit a grand slam. The only other grand slam he hit was with the Padres back in 2023. And feels like eternity ago he was on the Padres, right? Because the whole Yankees run to the World Series, definitely a lot of people got eyeballs on that. And now all the eyeballs in baseball are going to the Mets, and they're going to Juan Soto and what he's going to do over the next 14 years. This guy has a 900 OPS. I believe it's at 910 now, give or take. Haven't looked exactly, but he is, again, on an unbelievable tear. And if this is the lowest point of Juan Soto's career, a down year that people like to say, the Mets are going to be fine for the next 14 years.
Yeah, Juan Soto's OPS 915 as it stands right now. And we got to give credit where credit's due. He's kind of cooled off, but let's take a look at a guy like Pete Alonso, who goes 0 for 4 today. His OPS is still 856, Dan, but this is what would concern me, and it reared its ugly head in another big spot today. Juan Soto and Pete Alonso have been double play machines this year.
Yep.
Pete Alonso, I believe, has 22 now. Correct me if I'm wrong, to lead the National League. And Juan Soto's right behind him, number 2, I believe, with 16. So when you look at this, I mean, I know I'm projecting ahead, facing a guy like Christopher Sanchez, the ground ball pitcher he is. Remember, the Phillies are not going to have Zach Wheeler. He's done. So you look at that. We've kind of had Aaron Nola's number over the years, so I'm actually confident heading into a Phillies game. It is the starting pitching, and I want to get a little bit deeper dive into Sean Manaea and what he's done. I don't know if you have any cliff notes on that, but today, only going 3 2/3, and here's the concerning part. He's striking out the world, Dan. 3 2/3, 6 strikeouts. The issue is when a team puts a ball in play, 8 hits in 3 2/3 and 1 walk. That is 9 base runners he allowed in 3 2/3. 5 earned runs, and it could have been worse because he got out of trouble there early. When we're looking at a guy like Sean Manaea and Kodai Senga, the Mets need to make a decision and make it fast because you don't want them to be the reason why you missed the playoffs. But then again, the Mets are running into an issue. You can't not pitch everybody. And I saw you brought up something very interesting on X. I didn't know this. Kodai Senga's got options. Do you dare send him down for a start? Let him try to figure it out down in AAA, considering his comments yesterday talking about his lower body doesn't feel right. You promote a guy like Brandon Sproat, or you just go to a 5-man rotation, whatever the Mets want to do. But I'm at the point, and I can't believe I'm saying this on September 1st, I would rather throw a bullpen game than have these 2 guys out there right now. Sean Manaea in the month of August, I believe his ERA is now over 7 over his last 5 starts, and Senga is right behind him. I'd rather have Christopher Davinsky come up as an opener, throw the first couple innings, or Waddell. We're at that point. These guys cannot continue to pitch. I said something about it during the game today. I had my tweet right here. Sorry. X just refreshed on me. Guys, while I'm finding this tweet, make sure you head on over to X. We are giving away a Francisco Lindor bobblehead. It's over at Metcast Pod. It is our pinned tweet. Be sure to enter. All you got to do is follow Metcast, Dan Bartels, and retweet that post, and you are locked in. And the winner will be called tomorrow at 9 p.m. So after tomorrow's game, the winner will be called. So that's another thing to look forward to while I'm trying to find. Right. Here we go. Sean Manaea delivers yet another rough outing. Can't make it through the 4th inning, wasting a big day for the Mets offense. Thank goodness the Mets offense came back, but we have this. This makes his 10th start of the season, and he has still yet to pitch beyond 5 innings. That's 5.0, not 5 1/3. He has not reached 5 innings pitched in 10 starts. That is roughly a full third of the season. He's failed to reach 5 innings, 5.0, in 6 of his 10 starts, Dan. This is a major concern, and changes need to be made now. The time for experimenting was in May, June, July. Hell, I'll even give you the first half of August. We are talking now 2+ months, 10 starts. This guy has been abysmal, and Senga is right there with him. I want to get your thoughts on a potential bullpen game or the hot topic of the day, promoting a guy like Brandon Sproat.
Yeah, a lot of interesting stuff there pertaining to Manaea. I mean, he's been really rough. I don't know if he's Italian. I don't think so, but you should start calling him Meatball Manaea. We've seen that in some of these X comments. It's been funny to read those, but it's true. I mean, he served up first pitch of the game today, lets up a home run. I mean, you can't make it up. Put the Mets in a hole right away. Luckily, they were able to bounce back, but that's not a way any of us want to see a game get started. 7.81 ERA for Manaea over his last 6 starts. So that's not good. And
Gosh,
the Mets,
it's almost 8.
it's insane. And the Mets pitching staff as a whole, their last 4 starts have let up double-digit hits. That is not good either. That's not sustainable. So they need to figure that out from the pitching perspective. Senga's very interesting, right? He does have 3 options remaining, but because of his contract, like the fine print, he does need to get consent. You know, the Mets need to get consent.
Which he ain't going to give it.
Right. So that's kind of what we're dealing with Kodai Senga. And I think a part of that was kind of the Mendy comments from this week, or even today it resurfaced again when they asked him, because they ask him every single day now, hey, what are you doing with Senga? What are you doing with Senga? Especially leading up to September 1st about Brandon Sproat. He said, we don't really know. And that's never a good thing. If you just kind of have gray air when you're a manager answering questions like that, you kind of need some real solid answers on that kind of stuff. So I would put him in the bullpen. I'd definitely consider it, or at least put him in a piggyback role. We've talked about that with Manaea as well. I think either of those pitchers can definitely, be in that spot come the playoffs. But yeah, right now it's really tough for Senga. And for Manaea, it's interesting because Senga, you could say the hamstring's still laboring him. I don't think that's really necessarily the case. He just hasn't been good. That's the real bottom line with Senga. With a guy like Manaea, you look at the elbow, the loose bodies, that stuff is pretty serious. And eventually he is going to have to get that removed. So I don't think it's going to be soon. I think they're going to see what they have through the playoffs in any way, shape, or form with Manaea, but you're going to have that surgery eventually. So that's something to consider. And then with Brandon Sproat, yeah, I mean, the future is bright with a kid like this. He just had 7 scoreless innings against Scranton Wilkes-Barre, the AAA affiliate of the Yankees. That's some pretty good stuff. And you really want to see that at the big league level before too long. And I want to clarify this because I don't know how many of you watch the show podcast. I highly recommend a lot of you do. Joel Sherman, John Heyman. They had David Stearns on as their last guest, and they're going to have Vientos on tomorrow too. That should be a great episode. David Stearns said he kind of goes through all these pitchers in the system, and it's their turn in the rotation to be that kind of spot start guy. So for a guy like Sproat, it wasn't like they were demoting him to the bullpen. They just kind of said, all right, we're going to put you in this role and see what happens. And obviously it didn't work out. He got shelled in 3 2/3 innings. I think it was 5 or 6 runs, maybe even 7. So obviously Sproat's not a reliever. Yeah, thanks. That's news to us, right? It's really not at the end of the day. We know that he's a starter, and that's what he's going to be for the Mets. But in a playoff situation, right, I'm not so sure. He could be in that bullpen role. I mean, Stanek could be DFA'd at this point. I would really seriously consider that. I know he got the win today, 3-6 on the year. He had 2/3 of an inning today, but he's throwing the ball to the backstop. This guy throws 100, but he's not really that good of a pitcher. We've seen that all year long. So I would DFA Stanek, opens up an opportunity for a guy like Sproat, and let's go. Let's give him an opportunity, maybe in the bullpen, but if you want him in the starting rotation, I'm not going to complain either.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm looking at his stats this year. Ryan Stanek, somebody needs to explain to me why he's being inserted into a 1-run game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 appearances in the month of August. His ERA 12.38. What is Carlos Mendoza doing with a clean bullpen inserting Ryan Stanek into a one-run game?
Your guess is as good as mine. I really don't know.
Also, once again, and we get to hear post-game how Helsley kind of looked. The guy looked awful again today. Dan, this guy can't handle New York. He's got the yips. It just is what it is. And I think that's a big reason why the Mets were contemplating with Brandon Sproat in the bullpen, because right now, outside of Gregory Soto, Edwin Diaz, and Rogers, yeah, do you trust a little bit maybe with Brooks Raley? Okay, I'll give you that. Sorta. But that's it. Helsley is definitely not in the circle of trust.
No. Chris Stavinsky, Brandon Waddell, I'd consider optioning either of them. They both have options available. That's something to get some pieces moving around. I would have sent Holmes to the bullpen a long time ago. If they're holding out hope, it is what it is. But these moves need to be made. And again, we're past September 1st. So if you DFA Stanek or you DFA any of these guys that people like to hold on to for whatever reason, they can't be picked up by a playoff team. And that was the worry all this time. And you know who did get picked up by a playoff team? Walker Buehler. And I think that was a big mistake that the Mets missed an opportunity on, to bring him in, see what happens. He can pitch out of the pen. He can be in the rotation.
All right, could have been insurance.
100%. So I'm not going to complain and harp on that too much. But, yeah, you got to get some pieces moved around and optioned down to give Brandon Sproat an opportunity.
Here's another thing, too, I'm looking at. Helsley actually pitched exactly to his ERA today. In the month of August, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 appearances, and his ERA is a 9.31. So him going one inning and allowing one run actually lowers his ERA today. I mean, Dan, right now, the Mets, that's why I'm also saying make the move with Manaea. Put him in the pen. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, they gave him $25 million over 3 years. So $75 million bucks. I'm trying to win a title. You got to make a decision. I don't see Kodai Senga, who needs 5 days rest more than any other pitcher in all of MLB, all of a sudden going into the bullpen and being able to pitch once every 2 or 3 days or back-to-back days. I just don't see that with him. I rather roll the dice with a starter in front of Senga, and hopefully he can come in. And if you can't, you pull him right away. And I'd rather put Manaea in the bullpen, someone who, let's be honest, I know he gave up the home run today, but pretty much he gets through the first time through the order. And it's that fourth inning that bites him. It's pretty clean first, second, third. And another thing with Manaea, his K rate is still high. Even though he only goes 3 2/3 today, he does get those 6 strikeouts, and it's not like he's walking the world. So maybe he could air it out a little bit more in the bullpen. And if you could trust him, that changes everything, especially if you're thinking about the first round of the playoffs where we'll be facing the Phillies. You're talking about, the Schwarbers and the Harpers, 2 game records in that lineup that you need to worry about. Having 3 lefties might not be the worst thing in the world when it comes to the New York Mets. And I also trust Manaea will get it done against righties as well. We need so desperately that 7th inning guy right now, because Rogers and Gregory Soto both are handling the 8th right now, because that's where it needs to be. You can't trust Helsley. Yeah, Brooks Raley is okay against lefties. Do you really trust him in a high leverage 7th inning guy? I prefer him in the 6th and in the playoffs. If you're telling me I have Sean Manaea to go to potentially in the 7th, or who knows? Maybe he's the guy setting guys up, because we've seen him have the what's in the past to shut people down in big spots. Maybe you do that, and then it throws everybody else down. But it's all about the bridge to Diaz. You want to tell me Diaz can get you a two inning save, which we all know. I think Mendoza has prepared him to do that in the postseason. He's done it a couple of times this year, getting the 8th and 9th inning. Now you're talking about maybe a little bit less. If Peterson only goes 5, you have Manaea to potentially throw 2 innings there to get you to your big guns. The Mets are simply lacking that. Now, Walker Buehler could have been that guy, but let's not fool ourselves. Let's not act like Walker Buehler was even okay this year. Right. The Red Sox are in a dead heat for that division in the AL East, and they're letting him walk, and they're eating a massive amount of money in that contract. it's for good reason. So that would be my proposal. I would like to get you guys down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. What would be your solution? Would you put Senga down? Would you put Manaea down? Or are you saying these guys are eventually going to pitch out of it? Let us know in the comments as we get to that. I want to get to Dan, your thoughts on that before we move on to our next segment where we're going to be talking about, well, we are going to have our trivia first, and then we'll talk about Acuna and the potential he could have on this potential lineup.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about a bridge to Diaz, right? I don't really care who pitches innings 5 through 8. I don't think any of us really do. You need a starter to at least cross your fingers and say, can we get 5 innings in a playoff game? Hopefully that's not too much to ask. And then you say 6th inning, 7th inning, 8th inning. Those are the real innings that we have to worry about. Edwin Diaz today was unbelievable. He proved that he can come in an 8th inning situation, get a 4-out save, at the most get a 6-out save. But today he got his 4-out save, which was great to see. 25 of 27 saves on the year for Edwin Diaz and his 250th in his career. So a quick round of applause for Sugar. I mean, this guy, he's a gamer. I'm happy he's a New York Met. Off-season stuff, you guys know on Metcast we have you covered in terms of the opt-outs, in terms of contracts, all this kind of stuff that the off-season is really all about. Edwin Diaz is going to be right in the middle of that with Pete Alonso and players of that like, for good reason. Because I think when he's on his game, we've seen this. He's one of the best closers, if not the best closer in the game of baseball. And I feel pretty confident saying that when he's on his game. So today it was good to see that. Rotation stuff, it's interesting. Stanek, not Stanek, Manaea and Senga. I mean, that's just a toss-up at this point. I'm with you. Get the piggyback roll. If you have Waddell, I think he's shown great signs. Davinsky on Saturday showed some signs he can eat some innings. So, one of those guys I feel like will slither their way into a bullpen for the playoffs.
What about McGill?
McGill? Absolutely.
I can't even saying that. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, he could be the opener, and then you have Manaea clean it up for
you
2 or 3.
You trade half your farm system away at the deadline. You don't address the biggest glaring need. And shout out to you, too. Applause for Diaz, right?
Yeah.
Right there. But the fact that we didn't address our most glaring need, guys, think about right now. You are never supposed to rely on rookies to make a postseason run. If they help you, it's great. But imagine where we would be without Tung and McLean. 4 starts, they combined for an ERA of under 2, closer to 1.5. Without them, there's a real good chance that Cincinnati is 1 or 2 games out. And that's, look, I'm the first guy to always throw David Stearns his flowers. Everybody knows that. But he missed this deadline big time. Gave up some nice pitches. And let's be real, Dan. Look, I love playing small ball. Mullins bunting over. A lot of people have issues with that. I will take my chance with the top of this lineup coming around with guys on 2nd and 3rd, regardless of what's happened earlier in the season. As Lindor's, we all know Lindor can come through. Obviously, Soto was coming through. Pete's got one of the best OPSs with runners in scoring position on this team. I'm willing to do that. But there's one guy I was calling for at the deadline. It was for good reason. I wanted Harrison Bader on this team, and David Stearns missed the boat again. Let's look at all the additions he's made this year in lieu of what was out there. Cedric Mullins over Harrison Bader. Bad. End of story. Ryan Helsley has turned out to be bad. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Ray, he was great with the Cardinals. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You get held accountable for the good just as much the bad. That's something that I've always said on this channel. I give David Stearns credit for Juan Soto, even though nobody else wants to, because I'm one of those guys. I try to be fair. You got to give credit where credit's due, and you kill where you got to be killed. Frankie Montas, Dan, I said it right here. I said, I hate that signing, but I will give it a shot because David Stearns got that credibility with the pitching lab last year. But I said it right here. I was with you how much I think this would be a catastrophic failure for this team. I also said I am very nervous about giving Sean Manaea a long-term deal because he was 32 years old and finally puts it together. What are the odds he'd be able to repeat that? I said it all offseason. A lot of you guys are diehard here on this channel. You know I've been on that. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I'm saying it was just so blatantly obvious. To pay a guy like Sean Manaea, who was your fifth starter, making minimum money his entire career, now all of a sudden he puts it together for a couple of months and you're going to pay him $75 million? Think about this, what we're talking about. We're talking about Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas between them got over $100 million this offseason. That is a monster swing and miss. And I know we fight with people in the spaces. Shout out to Fanny, but puts up a lot of good points. But saying that that Sean Manaea's contract is not detrimental to this team, it is. Same with Frankie Montas, because they're going to prevent us from going out this offseason and addressing needs, whether that's starting pitcher, whether that's getting a big-time center fielder, whether or not that's bringing back Pete Alonso, whether or not that's pursuing Cody Bellinger, whether or not that's going after a Valdez, who I would love from the Astros, a proven bowler that you'd put right at the top of this rotation. Imagine having a rotation led by him, Peterson, McLean, Tung, Sproat. Then you could throw Gills, the Clay Holmes, those types of guys. Frankie Montas and Sean Manaea, 100. What did they get? You got 75, 85, 95, 105, $110 million roughly, just under $110 million on two guys who have never been good for more than 3 months. Think about that, Dan. I'm not lying here, am I?
No, you're right. And
at a career rate of what, 4.5, and you're paying him $75 million?
It's bad. He got the Evaldi contract.
I want to know who was offering him 74 this offseason.
Yeah, I don't know. Early in the offseason, it was reported that the Orioles were interested in him. That could have been something.
Oh, the Orioles, who can't even bring back their own freaking ace that they let walk out the door.
Right. So I don't know if anyone really offered Manaea. I'm pretty sure he said a team or two, but I don't know if it ever got disclosed. But he clearly wanted to be back with the Mets, and he was. The only pushback I'll say, and anything that you just said there, because you're spot on, the money was not spent well. Stearns has not had a good year, and I want to make that very clear. The Mets may have a good year. That remains to be seen. But Stearns has swung and missed many times this year, and it's okay to say that. It's not like we're homers for the Mets, and we can.
Oh, that's for sure. That's why. That's why there's no one sponsoring this show.
All right, we can never criticize.
They're all like, "Come on, guys, you got them." Like, get out.
Well, right, and the one pushback I'll say is the Soto and the Stearns. I don't give Stearns any credit for Juan Soto. That's all Steve Cohen. Blank check, territory.
Agree to disagree on that. I know a lot of people are like that. I'm only saying that, Dan, because if it doesn't happen, they're probably pivoting to someone else. But I'll tell you what they're not pivoting to. They're not pivoting to Max Fried. And a lot of people say, well, look, Ray, Corbin Burns went down. He went down. Like, look what happened. It doesn't matter. You can't project injuries. He is a frontline starter when healthy. And I want to bring something up so I know I'm not nuts. 2024, Sean Manaea, 3.47 ERA. Pretty good. 3.5 ERA. Is that $75 million over 3 years going into your age 33 season? And this is why I know it's bad. 2023, Sean Manaea's ERA, 4.44. Horrible. 2022, Sean Manaea's ERA, 4.96. 2021, 3.91. 2020, 4.5. So let me get this straight. Sean Manaea has had under a 3.5 ERA one time in his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not counting 19. He had 2 starts. 6, 7. So he's been in the major leagues 8 years, and 1 year had a 3.5 ERA. And David Stearns cannot wait to pay this guy $25 million a year. Guys, look, I know you're going to say you got to develop pitching. Jonathan Santucci, Brandon Sproat, McLean, Tung. I get it. I am all for that. That doesn't mean you throw unnecessary money at guys. It just doesn't. Because Regardless if people say, well, Steve Cohen doesn't care about money. He absolutely does. Go look at the season ticket holders. Some of them got 25% increases going into next year. Parking's up. Everything's up. Ticket prices. I just went to the game this past weekend. You could get in reasonable price, but everything's gone up. Concessions gone up, everything. And we're willing to pay the price, but you can't negligently spend. And the Frankie Montas signing was negligent. And in my opinion, and I was consistent with this at the time, so was Sean Manaea. I was for bringing Sean Manaea back, not for $75 million. That is absurd. And we're going to rear this. Next year, they're on the books for $40+ million. Imagine what you could do with that money. It's just crazy to me. But with that said, let's get to Dan's trivia moment.
All right, so Metcast trivia. We like to do this for you guys. We love to do it too because it keeps us all in the know and in the intellectual, which is very important here on Metcast. It has to do with the Tigers. I looked through some questions. I was thinking, all right, let's try to intertwine it with the team that the Mets are currently playing. So in 2011, there were 2 New York Mets who hit grand slams in the same game. Who were those 2 players? And I'll give you guys a list of players just so you're not, out there on your own. Jason Bay and Lucas Duda. Carlos
That's definitely not it. Jason Bay has hit a home run. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
Carlos Beltran and Jason Bay, Angel Pagan and Daniel Murphy, or Carlos Beltran and Ronnie Paulino. So again, in 2011, it was June 28th to be exact. The Mets and the Tigers squared off, and there were 2 grand slams in the same game. Who were those 2 players for the New York Mets? That is your Metcast trivia question of the night. It is a new segment that Ray and I want to do and incorporate into the lives. And we're definitely going to keep that going every single time we do this. So make sure to get your answers in, and we'll see who gets there first.
And one thing that we will be doing in the future, as I've been saying this, I've been very consistent. We keep creeping. We keep creeping towards it. At 10,000 subs on YouTube during our live, and maybe it comes through in the postseason. Who knows? I will be giving away one of these Mets jerseys of your choice to one of our subscribers as a thank you as we give back. And also we plan on doing future giveaways for cards and such in regard to these Metcast trivias. So make sure you're tuned in because you never know what you're going to win. It could be a Senga autograph. It could be a David Peterson patch auto, which thank goodness I bought last year on the low.
Also, real quick,
go ahead, Dan.
One of these things too. I might give one of these away, guys. So stick on the lookout for that. I have a Tom Seaver one over here as well. I'm debating giving away the Keith because I kind of want to keep the Tom Seaver, but who knows? Make sure to keep on the lookout. More giveaways coming to you, sponsored by Metcast.
All right, guys. If you want to get in on this conversation, head on over to YouTube. We're going to get to some of your guys' comments now. I appreciate you guys sticking around. Do us a favor. Give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying the content. You guys know we try to keep it a buck with you guys. That's why, we're just fans like you guys. With that said, going to kick it off with one of our guys, Andre. I really think they should call up Sproat and shut Manaea down for the year to have surgery on the elbow to clean up the loose bodies. Look, I could see what you're saying, but damn, they asked him post-game today about his elbow. He said it feels great. Feels great. No issues, no fatigue, no nothing. And let's be real, most of the time he's effective the first time through the order. Put him in the bullpen. Don't shut him down. Right. You're paying him a ton of money. If he could pitch, you pitch him. That's my opinion. What about you?
The thing that hurts with Manaea is that I personally believe the new arm slot that really was going to make him borderline an ace. I mean, what we were seeing last year was second career highs, even a lot of career highs in terms of the advanced stuff last year from Manaea. You could say the league didn't figure him out. I get that. It was the second half of a season. But I thought, hey, if this guy stays healthy over the course of a full year, you're going to have a really good pitcher in Sean Manaea, dare I say a 2. And he has been nothing but a 3, maybe a 4 at this point. So that's the part that hurts for me. I don't think the game caught up to him, or maybe the book got out on him that, hey, this new arm slot, we know how to attack it as an offense. But it's the injuries with Manaea. And that hurts because David Stearns, Steve Cohen, $75 million for 3 years, you can't see injuries coming. So that's kind of the thing that hurt.
Right. That's why when people say, "Oh, right, Burns would have been a failure," you don't know that. You don't. And who's to say he's not going to come back next year and be a number one as well? Because when you're looking at this offseason, you have a couple pitchers at the top of the market, and that's it. I hate to say it, but if you were going to go all in, the player to get was Max Fried along with Juan Soto. I know he's a Yankees. Don't shoot the messenger. I get it. But it is what it is. That's what I have to say about. And Bar, here we go. I totally agree. As I'm going through the comments with you, man, I tweeted this out today. Manaea and Senga can't set foot on the mound as starters for the rest of the season. I tweeted that out after the second inning. We've seen enough. When is enough enough? The last 11 starts before today, they combine ERA for them over their last 11 starts is almost 6. I'm good, and it's gone up from today. Dan, I'm shocked we're having this conversation. I really am.
Me too, Ray.
I didn't think Manaea would fall off the table to a point where, and I said this, and I got a lot of heat for it earlier today. This team, and we don't know what McLean's going to be. We don't know what Tung's going to be long-term. I get that. But this team, all the veterans, we are loaded with 4th and 5th starters. Manaea, 5th starter. Senga, 4th starter, 5th starter on most days. Clay Holmes, let's be real. May, June, 2.5 ERA, 2.91 ERA. July goes to 4.5. August, 4.91 ERA off the dome. That's what I remember seeing. So you're talking about a guy who's pitching like a 5th starter. Griffin Canning was brought in to be a 5th starter. The only guy who's pitched anywhere near a front-end guy is David Peterson. And to me, he's a solid number 2, a very high-end number 3 in a real rotation. I think that's fair enough to say. I don't think he's a legitimate ace. I don't think he has ace-like stuff, but he's the kind of guy that more likely than not, he'll leave the game in the 5th or 6th inning, allowing 1 or 2 runs and won't give it up. Yeah, he blew up his last start, but for the most part of the season, he's been the only reliable guy. Think about this. At the All-Star break, we're screaming for Kodai Senga to be an all-star with a 1.5 ERA. His ERA is now over 3. It is more than doubled in 1 month. Think about that. Craziness, but I totally agree with you.
Yep.
Get to a couple more comments here. See a couple of our members in here. Appreciate you guys. Gabriel says Senga should be shut down as well. That's the one guy I would consider shutting down. See what we got here. George, I agree. Something we just spoke about. Kodai Senga and Sean Manaea simply can't pitch into playoffs. Shut down Manaea and bring up Sproat. I'm not. Dan, what are you doing with Sean Manaea? I haven't heard you on that.
I'm probably just piggybacking him in the playoffs, behind an opener. I think that's the best course of action. Senga, same thing if I can. There's not much maneuverability right now, but, if I can get both of them in the bullpen for the playoffs, that's probably the best way to go. It's just that 3rd starter. I'm not so sure. You're going to have to get one of them to be piggybacked and hope for the best. People say, Dan, Ray, you're crazy. The Mets would never do this. What did they do to David Peterson in the playoffs last year? He wasn't great in the regular season, but they moved him to the pen, and he pitched pretty dang well out of the bullpen last year. So I think that's probably going to be the case. I hope no injuries pop up to where you have to move a guy to the injured list, but at this point, who knows? Sean Manaea, it's clearly something's going on there, and Senga, same thing. So, and real quick too, Chris Caputo, you are the winner. Great job on the answer. It was Jason Bay and Carlos Beltran in consecutive innings.
The biggest highlight of his career.
There you go. 2 grand slams. The second time the Mets did it.
We love to give out big 3-year contracts to complete busts.
That's right.
Ask Oliver Perez how much he loves sucker in the Wilpons.
Ali.
We all knew that was a sucker too. Sorry, guys. I am a little upset tonight. I know we won, but I've tried to be a realist as much as possible on this channel. And I know what's ahead of us. Dan, Detroit, Philly, the Reds. Just because we beat Detroit today, we can't just forget we gave up 8 runs.
Right.
Charlie Morton, the guy's got a 4.5 ERA. He's terrible. And by the way, how many people are screaming at Juan Soto now?
Yeah, right. I mean,
In my household, we go like this. It's a cricket in the corner. Joey, one of our members. Joey, thanks so much for being a member. Appreciate you, my guy. Here we go. It was only a matter of time that Soto would be showing us why he gets the big bucks. Absolutely, brother. It's been oh wow, I didn't even read that comment before I said it. It's been crickets on those who were really trashing Soto earlier this year. He wasn't treated well by many fans. I will tell you this, and you guys know I'm honest here. I was getting on Soto, rightfully so, deservedly so, but not like some of these fans. You got, certain people that live in Clark, Jersey, screaming that the guy's a bust. Trade him. Frank Fleming, the biggest bust ever. Look, I like Frank. Frank's a friend of the show, but let's be real. Everybody knows why Juan Soto's here. It is for October. We've said it time and time again. And it's like, hello? Did anybody listen to his post game today? He said, the team that is hot in September typically wins. We're getting hot at the right time. It's coming off a 1 win, but you get the point. And it can't just be him. Time for Lindor to wake up. Time for Nimmo. Nimmo's been having a pretty damn good month of August. 0 for 5 today. I'll give him a pass today. But the top of this lineup is being paid. Lindor 30, Nimmo 20 plus, Soto 50 plus, Alonso 30 plus. You got $100 million roughly at the top of this lineup. McNeil's making 15 and change. Time to, as we all say, put up or shut up. But it's not a put up or shut up moment because we did win today. I will not run the graphic. But here we go. Thomas, Peterson, McLean, Tung, Sproat. That scares the hell out of me. What do you say, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, it's scary, right? I mean, the Tonk stuff's interesting. We've talked about this, right? You have to see how this final month goes with a guy like Jonah Tong. First start, very good, not going to complain. It would be a lot to see him pitch in the postseason for the Mets. And I know a lot of people are going to push back on that. I
agree.
I just don't know. That's the bottom line. He's already passed his innings limit. If he continues to pitch, God bless him. I hope he's okay in the end. But he was a little erratic. You were there, Reg, 10 rows back behind first base line. I mean, you saw it firsthand. He's a good pitcher, and he's going to have a bright future, but he's not Nolan McLean. He's not seasoned. He's not, at the point where you can put him in a playoff situation and feel comfortable. And then quickly, too, with Juan Soto, right? I mean, a lot of people have been shut up. We're not here to shut people up. We're just here to kind of inform you and entertain you. But at the end of the day, there's been a lot of people who have had to eat their words on the guy. And you have to get a Juan Soto. It's like a proof of concept, right? You have to, same thing when you buy a car. You have to kind of show a credit score and say, hey, I'm willing and I'm pretty good to buy this car because I have my finances in place. I have a stable job, blah, blah, blah. The Mets kind of got Soto because, A, they wanted to be a big player. Lindor was great. Alonso was great, but these were not the upper echelon of talent. And B, you kind of need that proof of concept when you're looking to put a casino around your surrounding stadium to kind of back up the idea that, hey, I have a generational guy for the next 10, 15 years going to be raking in box office every single night. That's really why you bring in Juan Soto. He's a generational talent. He makes the Mets a lot better. And on days like this, we're happy to have him.
Absolutely. And really quickly before I forget, I want to do, and we're gonna start this new segment as well on Metcast. It might not be on the post games, but on other lives like tonight when we're doing a little later. I know a lot of you guys aren't totally locked in with the farm system, but yours truly definitely is. And I want to do a prospect highlight today for our New York Mets, and of course I lose it right as I'm hitting it. Here we go. Today's prospect highlight comes to you courtesy of Daniel Wexler over on X. AJ Ewing, 21-year-old second base outfielder who's kind of burst onto another Mets prospect that has burst onto the scene this year. I've never seen, as a follower, a passionate follower of this team's prospects for so many years, I'm blown away how many high-end prospects we have. And he was one of the main prospects that every single team was calling about. And the Mets said no. AJ Ewing now has a 157 WRC plus, which remember, the average is 100. So he is 1.5 times better than the average player in his first 17 games at AA. Obviously, he's benefited from an insane 4.41 BAPIP. I know you guys aren't going to know what that means, so I'll just skip over it. But a true breakout season for AJ Ewing down in AA, who recently got promoted. Another guy shows power. I mean, the Mets are simply just loaded in this farm system right now. And that's where David Stearns is going to have to go to work this offseason. I would not be surprised. I don't want to throw it out there because I'm going to get ridiculed when it doesn't happen. But if I'm the New York Mets, I am trying to get a legit, young, front of the line stud starter in this rotation to pair with McLean, Sproat, and Tung. A guy who maybe is about to make a lot of money who you could extend. I'm not saying Paul Skeens. I will say, hold on. I don't even want to put it out there. But let's just say he's an ace for Detroit. And I think he's going to be on his way very shortly. He's going to go to the market, and the New York Mets need to be all over him. And yes, Tariq Skubal. I want to look up his
That'd be great.
His contract to see when he's going to be
7.
I know there was talk about it. Let's see how much longer he's got. Okay. After this is the prime where the Mets need to attack. You get him, you extend him, and he's your ace. And look, if you give him an 8-year contract, by the time he's gone, these guys are about to be paid or just going to be paid. But he has 1 year left before he's UFA. Go do what the New York Mets did years ago with Francisco Lindor. And no, I'm not giving up McLean. I would give up Sproat. I'm not going to lie. Got to give to get. But if you're telling me an AJ Ewing, a Brandon Sproat, and either a Jet Williams or Carson Bench, I would prefer to keep Williams. Everybody knows who I am. But if you're telling me you're giving up those 3 guys, maybe a Jonathan Santucci, it's going to cost you a lot. But the Mets arguably have the best farm system in baseball, top 5 regardless. He changes everything. And I don't know if Detroit's going to re-sign him, and everybody's going to be in on him. So if you could get him in here, give him a taste of New York, and be willing to pay him a rotation next year of where Sean Manaea, after surgery, comes in as your number 2, because you need to go 7 or 8 deep. We already know that. We've spoken about it a million times. But I am not 100% sold all these kids are going to work out. And if you got to give up say it's a Brandon Sproat, AJ Ewing, and Jet Williams, those 3 guys, this could be the Garrett Crochet deal that we missed out on last year, Dan. You extend the guy, and then you go from there. Because going into the year, if you're telling me your top 4, Tung ends up coming in at 4 or 5. You still have Holmes. You have McGill. You go get another depth piece. Maybe you bring Canning back next year as depth. That's where it's at. You want to be able to go into a playoff series. And I know it's the off season, so I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. But I want to go into next year because, like Danny Boy said on the space earlier today, he always felt 27 was really the year they're going to fully go for it. And I kind of feel that way too because we didn't go all in at this deadline. But if that's true and that is the year we go for it, maybe you take Pete Alonso's money and you flip it to him. You say thank you to Pete Alonso. I know people are going to kill me for this. You say thank you for Pete Alonso. Maybe you get a stopgap if Pete wants too much. Because remember, Pete said he's playing until he's 40. Are you giving him 7 years? Because I'm not. I love Pete. Don't get me wrong. I know the haters are in the comments. Come at me. Go ahead. I'll stand by it. I love Pete. I was with it this past year. I would have not given him more than 4 years. I'll say the same thing this offseason. You're going to give Pete 4 years. I will go 4 years. 31, 32, 33, 34. I'm not going 7 years. And I got a feeling there's going to be a team out there that's going to overpay him, like the Royals, the Orioles. Somebody of that nature is just simply going to overpay because so many teams that were expected to be good this year are no longer good. And a lot of divisions are going to be opening up. The Central's wide open. The American League has been so weak this year. I could see a team, maybe like Seattle if Naylor walks, a team that says, you know what? The American League is weak. It's wide open. We have a chance to go for it. Dare I say the Red Sox. There's going to be a lot more competition this offseason, I feel, for a guy like Pete Alonso. And how much more does David Stearns need to show you he's not a Pete Alonso guy? I mean, he was willing to lose him over 1 year to Toronto. Let's be real. Those are just the facts. And you have also, let's be honest, Dan, a player that David Stearns loves down there at AAA now in Ryan Clifford. And I'm not saying he's Pete Alonso, but he's lefty. He's got crazy power. And ding, 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 he'll be making like $700,000 next year, where Pete Alonso's looking for 30 plus. I'd rather go and get the absolute front of the front line starter. But we could address that as we get into the postseason after we win the World Series this year.
That's why the offseason is so interesting, guys. It's a season of its own. And Ray, you were the first person to actually say that to me, and it's stuck in my head ever since. I mean, it's true. And we are so excited for the offseason. We're excited for the regular season. I mean, I want to see this team win a World Series. But whether it's 25, 26, 27, they're going to break through. You have that feeling. And these young prospects, you know, A.J. Ewing, Jet Williams, I look at them to fit the mold at second base. You know, you could flip a Jeff McNeil. I don't really want to do it because he's been so good for this team, and I really love Jeff McNeil because he's a day one. He's a part of that old regime that we always like to talk about. But decisions are decisions. Business is business. I mean, you have Beatty who can play both third and second. Vientos has clearly emerged. A lot of people eating their words on him. But, again, business is business with a guy like Vientos. Who knows what this offseason is going to bring? So we'll leave that on the back burner. You know, we'll leave you guys to chew on that. But it's going to be very interesting to see what the Mets do once this season is over. Because however they end, right, whether they go to the NLCS and lose, whether they go to the World Series, Game 7, or whether they're swept in the wild card by the Dodgers this year, there's going to be changes that are made because people are getting older. Lindor, almost out of his prime. You know, he's really getting to that point. He has one or two more good, solid years in him. Soto's just emerging. This guy's going to be a 40-30 guy. So it's impressive to see. And then the whole Pete stuff, that's just completely up in the air at this point. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't think anyone's going to give him over 4 years, but it really comes down to the money. And he has that super agent, Scott Boras. You never know. He's gotten money for guys like Strasburg and Rendon and Chris Bryant in the past. And look how all of those guys, you know, ended up. And I know a lot of that was injury, but still, I mean, Scott Boras can sell ice to an Eskimo. That's how good he is at his job. So it is something to think about. But, yeah, we'll save that for the offseason. And the Mets, they have a really good chance. If Soto's hitting like he did today, six RBIs, a career high, a triple, a grand slam, this Mets team could be really going in the right direction, but they need good pitching. Going back to your original point, they can't be giving up 8 runs and expecting to go deep in the postseason.
I know we're getting a lot of hate in the comments. Dan, let me bring you up really quick. Alonso, 110 RBIs, 141 hits. He's probably the team MVP, but yeah, let's trade him. Genius idea. We wouldn't trade him, but don't take my words out of context. What did I just say? I would give him a 4-year contract, Dan. Word around MLB, from everything that I'm hearing, he's looking for 7+. Are you signing Pete Alonso till he's 39? At $30 million a year? I mean, look at what the Yankees are going through right now. When Stanton's hurt, he can only play the DH. So even when he's healthy, they're having trouble putting Judge and Stanton in the same lineup. And look, 4 years. All right, you want to tell me it's 4, and the 5th year he makes $15 million, and it's kind of like a void year where you're going to cut him and you're just going to eat it? Okay, but he's already what? How old's Pete? 31 this year?
30.
Okay. So next year will be 31. So 31, 32, 33, 34. You want to push it to 35? I would do it because of the homegrown guy he is. I'm not pushing it beyond that. I'm just not. And David, I'll tell you one thing. You don't have to listen to me. Listen to David Stearns. He's not. There's no way David Stearns is giving this guy a 7-year contract. And for all the Met fans out there who think that Steve Cohen's going to step in, it ain't happening. It's not happening. And just Andre says 5 for 160, max how it would go. I'm not saying it's totally unreasonable, but a lot of Mets fans, we got to take off those blue and orange goggles. You can't just give Alonso 7 or 8 years, and he's trying to play till he's 40. He's looking for a 9-year contract after this year. You giving him 9 years, Dan?
No, Ray. I'd give him 5 years max, and then maybe, and this is a really big maybe, that 6th year has to be like a mutual, if anything, or a club option, which Boris and Alonso would never go for. So I'm probably firm on that 5-year cap, as many of us I hope are, but even 4 years, that sounds the most reasonable.
Yep.
4
All right, we got
years.
Bob, one of our other members over on Facebook. I'm not giving up on Helsley. Going to a new team after many years, tough. Diaz was not good his first year. But the issue is the postseason is in like 30 days, less than 30 games. If he don't turn it around in the next 5 or 6 games, and another thing too, it's different when you're fighting for your life. Now, listen, what are we up? 5 right now on the Reds? 4?
Yeah.
It's 5?
I think it's 5.
Pretty sure it's 5 games. But you're playing 3 against them. You're going to be in Philly. Detroit is not a given. Detroit's a great team.
4.
Okay, so we're up 4. If nothing is 100% a wrap right now. I know some people are saying, who's going to replace 120 RBIs? I understand what you're saying. That doesn't mean you spend recklessly on guys. That doesn't mean that. And you're going to get GMs that might. You might just get a GM that says, you know what, a team that experiences the first time in the playoffs in a very long time willing to overpay. But that's pretty offseason. I shouldn't even be bringing that up, guys.
We'll save it for the offseason, guys. You know?
Yeah, we'll have a lot of the beat writers on, some of the former players, hopefully some current players. But that's all we got for you guys tonight. Stuck around for an hour. Shout out to everybody who's in here. Like this, please. And if you're really enjoying it, share the show with a friend. That's the best way to help us grow and grow with you guys. We know all the OGs that are in the chat. Dan, any final words?
Yeah, final words. I mean, that's a wrap on the month of August. The Mets were 11-17. They scored 177 runs, 53 home runs. Both were franchise highs, but they also had a month high for the 2025 season, 16 errors. So this team needs to be better on both sides of the ball. But listen, September stretch, here it is. We got you covered for the next month, hopefully 2 months, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We love to do it, and we love having you guys join us every single night. So let's go Mets, and great win today. Juan Soto, that's why you pay him $765 million.
Just win the series. I don't think we're going to sweep, but win the series. Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets, guys.